Hi everybody, my name is Max Michon. I am one of the owners and a trainer here at Ready, Set, Train. This is going to be part of our basic behavior series of videos that we're putting together on our YouTube channel. Today's behavior that we're going to teach is the behavior of stay. So for teaching the behavior of stay, there are three main components that we want to break it down into. The first is duration. So duration is how long can the dog physically stay sitting or laying down in the position that we cue them to go into. The other step is distance. So distance is how far away can we move from the dog once we've cued it to stay. And the final thing that we would want to introduce is distractions. So distractions make the dog staying in the position a lot more difficult, and a lot of dogs have issues with stay when all of a sudden distractions show up. So we can think of it as the 3 Ds: duration, distance, and then distractions. We're going to start working on duration first. If the dog can only sit in front of us for 2 or 3 seconds, we're going to have a really hard time walking away from them or adding any other levels of difficulty with stay. So we always start with duration, and our goal is going to be to build up maybe 15 to 20 seconds of the dog just sitting in front of us, laying down in front of us. We're also going to go over the stay pattern. So what I do with my dogs is I cue them to go into a body position. So that could be sit, that could be down. You could do this from a stand eventually, but I usually start with sit or down first because it's a little bit more salient, easy for the dog to understand. Then we're going to give a stay cue. So I say the verbal word stay, and then I do a hand signal. I take that hand signal away after I cue it for 1 or 2 seconds. We don't want to leave our hand out there the whole time, and we don't want to repeat stay over and over because the dog will probably get up when we take our hand away or when we stop repeating that phrase. So we would cue the dog to stay, sit or lay down. We would say stay, do a hand signal, and then we would wait. Before the dog gets up, we also want to have a release cue. So a word like release, free, all done, and that tells the dog that it's okay to get up from the position that they're in. And we'll break this down and go over it step by step of how we're going to do things. So I'll get Winslow's attention here. Winslow. I'll cue him to sit. Winslow, sit. I'm going to give him the stay cue. I make sure that the hand I'm cueing him to stay with doesn't have any treats in it. So I would say stay. I do a flat hand out for a second or two. I'm going to just wait. If he gets up, I got to put him right back in that spot and start over again. Winslow. I'm trying to beat him getting up on his own. Winslow, stay. I try to give him a treat or reward him for staying in position. I want to use the release cue to let him get up, but when we release the dog, we actually don't want to reward them because we don't want the dog anticipating the food trying to get up. So I'll do this one more time. Winslow, sit. Winslow, stay. I try to reward Winslow for staying in position. Before he gets up, Winslow, free. I encourage him to get up. I could give him praise and attention. I can tell him he's a good boy, but I'm not giving him a treat for getting up. I want him to want to stay in the spot that I had him sit because he gets delivery service there. So I'll get his attention again, and we'll do it a couple more times and see if we can start to build some duration. Sit. Good. Stay. Wait a couple of seconds. Deliver a treat to him while he's still there. Try to wait a couple more seconds. Deliver a treat while he's still there. We'll do one more. We're trying to always build how much time he can stay before he gets up. Winslow, free. I say that word, then I take a couple of steps back. So again, at this step, we're just trying to build duration. We are not asking the dog, we're not trying to walk away, we're not trying to turn our backs, we're not trying to make it more difficult until I see that Winslow is really good at just sitting in front of me for, again, 15 to 20 seconds. I'm going to stay at this step. So stay. Some other quick tips that you can do while you're working on duration is you can kind of move around in place a little bit just to get your dog prepared for you starting to move away in the next step. You're not actually adding any distance, but you are adding a little bit of movement. The other thing that you should practice is not constantly staring at your dog or having constant eye contact. A lot of dogs learn that if the person is staring at me, I need to stay here. But the second they break their eye contact, I'm going to get up. Again, if Winslow gets up on his own because he thinks he dropped his treat, sit. We start over again. Winslow, stay. By breaking eye contact, I'm moving around a little bit. I'm still rewarding the dog for staying in position. And then Winslow, free. I'm trying to release him before he gets up on his own. So the next step is going to be working on distance. Remember, we don't go to this step until your dog is very reliable with duration. That 15 to 20 seconds, they're not trying to get up. They're staying there very easily. Now we go to distance. When we go to distance, we're going to reduce the amount of time significantly. So we would maybe only make them stay for 4 or 5 seconds as we try to take 1 step away, 2 steps away. We're not making them stay quite as long because we're making it more difficult by moving away from the dog. We want to kind of create a boomerang or a rubber band effect. So we want to, if we take a step away, we want to come back to the dog and reinforce them in their position. We, again, don't want the dog anticipating getting up for those treats. If that is the case, the stay is going to become less reliable because the dog is always hoping to get up. So as far away as you walk, you have to come back to reward the dog. If they get up, we just start over again. We make it easier for them. We don't add as much distance, and we just do this in little baby steps. So we'll see what we can do with Winslow here. So again, I'm going to get him to sit. I'm going to cue him to stay, and then I'm going to start by trying to take just 1 step. If he gets up, we'll put him back in that spot again. I'll kind of lure him back to that area. Winslow, sit. Stay. And I might have to do a little bit less with moving away. So that time I took half a step because he got up when I took a full step away. So now I'll try to take a full step. He stays there. I come back. I give him a treat. And now I'm going to release him. Winslow, free. And have him get up. So sometimes it's just little baby steps at first. If your dog, you're taking a step away and they are getting up, well, maybe we have to take half a step. Maybe we just need to shift our body weight back a little bit. Those are things that we might have to do. I'll do a couple more and we'll see if we can just build up a little bit more duration with Winslow, or distance with Winslow here. Winslow, sit. Stay. 1 step away. If he gets up, we start over. Winslow, stay. Oh, sit. Stay. I try to think about a rule of 3 too. If my dog is unsuccessful 3 times in a row, that next repetition, I'm going to make it really easy. Free. So even though I'm trying to push duration here, I am trying to make it that he's successful. It's more important to complete that full phrase, that full cycle of the stay, than to get really far away and the dog gets up before we release it. So that's what we want to try to think about here. Good. Winslow. Good. See? Winslow, stay. Free. Good. So you can see we just slowly build it up, baby steps, add more distance as the dog gets better and better at this. Your goal is to add more and more distance as we go. So we talked about adding duration. We've started to work on distance. The final step is distractions. So when distracting things start to happen in the environment around our dogs, it makes it really hard for them to maintain that stay position. We really want to add distractions slowly. Again, those first 2 steps should be pretty darn reliable before we start to say, hey, let's see if you can stay while a squirrel runs by or while a new person walks in the house. We need them to be very solid with those first 2 steps. And then ideally, when we add distractions, we kind of have a hierarchy. So we start with lower level distractions and we work our way up to the squirrel. So what we're going to do right now with Winslow, since this is still pretty new and we're going to show you for the purposes of the video, but realistically, he needs some more work on the first 2 steps. We're just going to have a person walk by and see if we can get him to maintain that stay while that distraction is happening. So all of the beginning steps are the same. Winslow, I cue Winslow to sit. I give him the stay cue. Winslow, stay. And then I just kind of wait. And what we're going to do is have a person just walk by, and I'm going to see if I can keep Winslow in this stay position while the person is coming. So he got too excited. We'll start over and we'll try it again. Winslow, sit. Winslow, sit. Winslow, stay. We'll try one more. I cued him to stay. So the person's going by. I'm trying to reward. Oh, Winslow, sit. So this will be our third attempt, and then if he doesn't get it, we'll go back to an easier step. So we'll try one more time. Winslow, sit. Stay. Stay. So this is too difficult for Winslow. So he's not ready because he wasn't very solid on the first two steps to handle the distraction. So that's just something we would have to keep working at, but it hopefully shows you guys how you would start to, in an ideal situation, start to work on distractions with the stay routine as well. So remember the 3Ds, work on duration first, add distance next. The final step is distractions. A couple of tips for dogs that are really struggling with stay. You can try to get them to first learn to stand on some sort of elevated platform. By keeping them on an elevated surface, it can make it easier for them to learn to stay in one position, get used to you coming and going, because they kind of have a physical spot to station at. Then you would start to phase that away. But for some dogs that have a really difficult time learning to stay as you start to add distance, that is something you can do. Realistically, the hardest part for most dogs is when you start to go out of sight. So something you could practice at first is trying to walk a circle around the dog, going out of their peripheral vision, just having, even going behind them for a couple of seconds starts to get them used to, I can't see that person, but the stay pattern still continues. If you go out of a room, if you go around a corner, make that absence super short at first, then come back right away, reward the dog, release them. So those are some areas that a lot of people end up having difficulty with, and it's just some tips that you could use in those situations. So much for watching our video. Be sure to check out our full series of other basic behaviors like teaching your dog a marker, their name, sitting down. We have a full list of videos we're trying to build. Check out our website, www.readysettraindogs.com. We have a full resource section. There's lots of free information on our website. And if you need any training services, feel free to give us a call. Thank you.